In this real talk with Anthony Allen, I'm going to talk about why I believe being blue pill is not going to help you get a woman or female companion if you're a male and heterosexual. Let me tell you why. Because every time I tried that, it's a no-go. Just straight up. I'm going to tell you right now. Because women can smell, not only have a higher sense of smell and able to actually smell you more. To being blue pill, if you're trying to smell like how a woman wants you to smell, they're going to notice a difference. But not only that, being blue pill and agreeing to absolutely everything that she wants makes it too easy for her. And depending on the type of woman you want, if you want her to be strong-willed, if you're allowing her to have everything that she wants, it's no fun for her. If she says to you, do this A, B, C, D, the fun just drains for her. There's no pushback. She wants pushback if she's a strong woman, because then it feels more real. There's something like if it's like being in a race and someone allowing you to win constantly. If you're allowing somebody to constantly beat you in a race, they think subconsciously you think they're inferior. Let me show you. Let me give you a scenario. You're racing somebody, but it's a child. The child believes they can beat you. You're either going to do one or two things. You're either going to feel some sort of way and feel sorry for the child and want to allow them to win, or you're going to do the other thing and you're going to be a red pill and you're going to blast that child in a race, and when they start crying because they were absolutely really hyped up to beat you and that child might be upset because you've just dusted them in a race, you're going to apologise for that, but also you might motivate that child to do better, depending on what type of red pill or sigma male you are. Right, so depending on what type of, then you are showing what type of person you are. But when you're blue pill, the type of person you are is defined by you being blue pill, because you're always going to allow that person, that younger person, to beat you in a race, because that's who you are as a blue pill person. Now, if you want a strong-willed, mind of her own woman as a companion, as a lover, as a partner, you're not going to get that, most likely, if you're allowing her to beat you with every opportunity that you give her to do so. Right, so if you're competing, yeah, I'm competitive. I'll be straight up. I'm a competitive dude. Like when it comes to certain things, I'm competitive. But do you think that I'm going to let my woman, girlfriend, or whoever beat me in a race because she starts crying? I'm like, nah, bro. Like you gotta race me. Like running's my thing sometimes, you know what I mean? If you're up against me in a race, I remember doing I was in a relationship with somebody and I was doing a race for her child, not my child. The kid is not my son. But I was in a race for the parents' evening thing, and I'm up against the other parents. Now I could have been like, I'll let so and so and mum and dad win. But nah, that's just not who I am. That's just not who I am. And I'm the same way with lovers. Right? Because then you are getting the motivation out of, well, I believe you're getting the motivation out of that woman. And then she might want to actually compete with you in a healthy way. You know what I mean? There's like a healthy part of that. Like, so if like there's a healthy part of competition. Competition can be healthy in a relationship. For example, if you cook a meal, right, for your lady or your spouse, your other half, and then you add the element of competition into it. Babe, cooked you a meal on Friday. It was nice, wasn't it? Yeah. Bet you couldn't cook that meal as good as me. And then she'd be like, oh, is that a challenge? If she's that way inclined, she'll accept the challenge. If she feels uncomfortable with it, and she doesn't like to be challenged in that way, because she feels uncomfortable with that type of competition, she will let you know because she's a human being, or you can talk to her about it when she gets upset. Women can be very emotional. I know this from the relationships that I've been in. I'm talking about from my experiences. Women can be quite emotional when it comes to certain things. So you need to be able to read your spouse in that way if you intend to have a relationship with that person. You get what I mean? You need to be able to read, is she upset by what I've just done? Because some people, I say people, this goes from male and female, might not be okay voicing that they feel uncomfortable about something. You might be with somebody who's very shy. You might be with somebody who's not very vocal. You might be with somebody who doesn't like confrontation at all. So then what you're doing is you might be creating an uncomfortable environment because you haven't gauged what type of person she is. Now you need to gauge what type of person you're with, what type of woman you're with, what type of girl you're with. Right, these are life lessons that I've learned from being in relationships, you know what I mean? So gauging that is also really important. This can also be used in the bedroom, right? So like if you have made her finish quickly, then what can happen is that can go really south, that can go really bad, right? Because some people have an ego under the covers. You get what I mean? Some people really do have an ego under the covers, and sometimes you might have to allow them to act a certain way around their friends, but behind closed doors, they know the truth. But sometimes you might have to do that. You need to judge if you're okay with being with that type of person. The reason why I say person is because there's loads of guys that I know that are like that. Yeah, man, I've done this, and yeah, that's how I've done it. And yeah, you think, nah, man, we didn't power drive and turned over. That's that kind of competition that I'm talking about. Depending on what type of person you're with, that's going to be completely different. But there's loads of different ways you can introduce this into a relationship. Now, the reason why I mentioned all of that is because when you're blue pill, none of that exists, right? And some women like that. They like competing with you fairly, right? Some like competing fairly because you know how much of an achievement that is when a female beats you in your own game at a certain thing. You know how much of an ego boost that is. Not ego. You know how much of a self-esteem boost that is. It's like, for example, the women gamers, the girl gamers out there. When you are playing Call of Duty, for example, I know there's some girls that are good at Call of Duty. When you're playing Call of Duty and you're trashing players, and it's a majority of male players, and you're trashing all of them, I know that feels good because you know that you're special, because not a lot of females are playing that game compared to males. So you know you're one of a small percentage that is able to do that. You know what I mean? I couldn't give the controller to my mum and be like, yo, mum, go and play Call of Duty and see how you get on. She'd be like, what are you giving me the controller for, man? Boy, pull it down. Do you get what I mean? Like, that's how that will go down straight away, and that's because she might not have the interest in that. You're less likely to have females that are interested in a war game like that, for example. But that is changing, and that is because they're being. It's when somebody's showing that they can do something. Sometimes it helps encourage somebody else to try that something. And a lot of the time, the majority of the time, when you're not seeing the representation of yourself in an industry, you're not going to have those people in that industry. And that happens a lot in tech-based anything. You know, so there are some absolute brilliant girl gamers out there that don't get a chance to play with esports teams and clans and stuff like that. And that just might be genuinely about the discrimination there is against women in that category. Now, back to relationships, you can have a strictly non-sexual relationship with a woman and you can still find ways to be a sort of red pill personality, I'm going to say, and have a healthy relationship. It is possible. Very possible. Is it difficult? Yes. But many things that are worth having are difficult. I want you to keep that in mind. You find a woman who's worth something, fight for her. Because she might want you to. And she might actually feel a lot better when you do so. Or you protect her in a certain way. Some women like to feel protected. It depends on what type of woman you want and who you're with and know who you're talking to. That's the whole reason you have that conversation in person. You can gauge a person a bit more in person. You can see the different eye twitches and stuff that happens in that conversation, that first date. You can see what they do and don't like from a first perspective, as opposed to you're just having a conversation with a bunch of words online and you can't really gauge anything. So do keep that in mind when you're with a woman, trying to get her with a woman, or trying to get in a relationship. It's a relationship, works two ways. You're going to react in a certain way as well. How do you react to competition? Real talk with Anthony Allen. That's the reason why Blue Pill actually might find it harder.